I see the smirk. You're making fun of me about something.
I was making fun of Tyler.
Well, we're always making funny about something.
I'll tell you that.
You look good.
Yeah.
Getting old.
We need to get you. We need to get you in an office though.
Yeah, I
that's
couldn't
the only
make it
thing.
today.
We can't all be working from home
Why
on
not?
an office podcast. You know.
Mike was in the gym for too long this morning. Couldn't get to the office.
Have you consistently run on a treadmill?
I used to do
walk on
Ironman,
one.
brother.
But the treadmill's killing me. What's wrong with me?
Practice makes perfect, my friend.
I run outside and I'm fine. I run on a treadmill. It's whooping me. It's flat. Goes as fast as I tell it to go.
It's a different kind of motion. This is all making it into the pod, by the way.
Here's the funny thing. I go Saturday to the YMCA with my son. Hop on a treadmill. And I'm like, all right, I'll do 10 minutes, miles. And I'm about 3/4 of the way through and I'm huffing and puffing. It was on kilometers.
Canadians,
10
man.
minute, 10
we
minute
run
kilometers?
Yeah.
It's like a walk, man.
No. 10. No. Do the math.
I'm pretty sure
Or did I say it wrong?
6
Did I say
minute
it backwards?
kilometer.
10 minutes a kilometer. I'm like not a good runner, and I was doing like 5.5 minute kilometers.
No. Kilometers per it was, how do you convert miles
kilometers an
per
hour?
hour?
It's 2.2 miles to a kilometer or something.
So my pace was 10 kilometers per mile,
It's like 5 miles an hour.
which is like, instead of 10 miles an hour, I would have gone 6.4 in and out, or backwards. I had it where I was like, I ran that in
6.4. You were doing 10 miles an hour.
I had it completely backwards where like I was hauling ass. And I'm like, says I'm going to be done in my first mile in like 8:10. But it's supposed to be 10 minutes and 15 seconds.
So you were burning.
Yeah, I had it backwards. So I was pushing all the buttons, and then Jack was running next to me and he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I think I'm going to have a heart attack.
He's looking at you like, no, nobody likes a hero.
Yeah. You know, it's obviously snow covered. It's 0 degrees outside. There's 900 people in the Y. My first time ever. I come out of the gate. I pull a little 5-minute mile in front of everybody.
Wow, this guy, we got a
still
badass
coughing
here.
up pieces of my lung.
A banister in my hands.
It was terrible.
Banister.
It was so embarrassing.
Have you heard there's a theory now that zone 0 cardio is great for burning fat, which is basically just like a slow
That's
walk?
Sleeping.
Yeah, that's why I like it, man. I don't know if it's...
You know how zone 0 can burn fat is if you eat 11 calories a day.
Celery.
I'm eating 1,900 calories a day right now.
I'm at 18.
Are you? How
Yeah.
hard is it? It's killing me.
Well, it depends. I'm trying to only eat the certain windows, the intermittent fasting, and 1,800 calories. If you do it that way, it's a piece of cake. It's like 2 meals.
I'd be so cranky, man.
Oh. Now I'm driving to the YMCA. This morning we went, there were 9 people. The place is like 2 acres under roof. And we couldn't, I was like, you should shoot a gun in here. There's nobody in here. But the last 2 days, literally 300 people. So yeah, everybody already knows me, believe it or not. When you roll in and you bust out a 5-minute mile, people start pointing at you.
You know what they say? Legends aren't born, they're made. You know?
They sure do. That's what they say.
A kilometer, you mean?
Speaking of legends, I'll do a little intro here, guys.
Speaking of legends, nobody has texted me until right now.
Hard to be popular. where I was going to go with that was, speaking of legends, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Kriel, also known in some circles as Big Mike, CEO of Launch Workplaces.
What circle is that exactly?
This circle.
Can you define? I've never been called Big Mike. Can you define that circle? I'd like to meet those people.
You're looking at it. This is the circle that calls you Big Mike. I don't even know if Kev does that. Sometimes I just like to say it. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Big Mike, CEO of Launch Workplaces, and the brilliant mind behind Flex and 5.
This is like one truth, two lies.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, one of those is truthful. I'm the CEO of Launch.
We're not swearing on this, but we'll call that like a doo-doo sandwich, you know?
Well, that swearing ship has already sailed.
Is there no cursing on your podcast?
No, I'll bleep it because I like to keep it authentic. I don't want people to feel like we're living a lie here.
Don't tie my hands. You know how I like to fling around some expletives.
Yeah. Usually we don't record the conversations. But this one's recorded, Mike. Just letting you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let the man flail.
Yes. I dig my own grave, I believe some people say.
You knew what you were getting into coming on the podcast. You knew.
I had a feeling it was going to be like this today, and I was right.
Yep.
I got my exercise. I slept well. I got my exercise, so I'm revved up.
Very intuitive.
I've had none of those two things. So I'm going to bring this podcast down. But we do have a little bit of time, and Taylor has an important thing he has to run to top of the next hour. So we do want to kind of just drill you with questions, Mike, and extract all of your wisdom and then leave you on the side of the road at the end of it. So tell us.
I'm going to have to edit this out, but we're talking about.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
I don't think any kids are listening to this podcast, hopefully, because it would have to come with a PG-13 rating. Okay, so let's talk about management agreements. Mike, you are kind of a pioneer in the space, and I don't know whether you intended to do so, but Launch Workplaces has been essentially not founded, because I think you had one or two leases originally.
No.
You're in the management. You've never had a lease technically with Launch? Okay, so
there's a story behind that. It's not...
Okay, tell us that story. Yeah.
I didn't decide in 2011 or 12 when we opened Launch. It wasn't, I'm going to be a pioneer.
I'm just old.
That was not the intent. What happened was we opened Launch. I worked for a small family office real estate company. And we opened Launch to solve our own problem, right? We had some space that we couldn't lease. And we're like, all right, we'll try this flexible thing. And it worked out great. It was fine. We opened 5 of those, one in every building that we owned. And we were just cruising along. And then someone we knew in the office world, friends of ours, demanded we go run a space for them. Like they would not stop. And I'm like, look, we didn't start it to go third party. We just started it to satisfy our own needs. I'll do anything. So I sat with their lawyer and our team, and we created a management agreement. And we was like, all right, under these conditions, we'll give it a try. And then the president of the family office said, this is fine. We have no capital. We're never going to contribute to TI. We're never going to sign a lease. If you want to grow this through management agreements, have at it. So I wish I could say I just wanted to be a contrarian, and I thought long term, I knew COVID was coming 8 to 10 years down the road, and I thought this is the way to survive long term. No. I didn't want to go conquer the world and have 100 locations. I reluctantly partnered with this group under a management agreement and decided, it was pretty easy. It was like a 12-page document. If you've seen leases, they can go 40, 50 pages. It was written relatively, easy to understand. And we're like, okay. if anyone else calls us, this is the way forward for us, because we were told we don't have any capital. We're not putting any capital at risk, because, again, the intent wasn't to do that. So, yeah, I wish it was a better story. It just was the reality of where I was.
And
It's
so
a good
now,
origin story.
yeah, and now you've broken free. Let's keep going with that story. So you were part of this family-run real estate company,
Mhm.
Brick, and then now how did you become independent?
Well, COVID, among some other things, COVID made the family rethink their longer term strategy. I mean, at this point, they were about 128 years old, so they had been through some times in the world. But there was some generational type change going on, and they said, you know what, we've got other interests that better aligned with COVID. They owned golf courses, they owned powerboat marinas, which, like, COVID was the greatest thing that ever happened to golf, since Tiger Woods. So you were allowed to go golfing, and the golf courses were going crazy. The marinas were really going crazy, and the office buildings were not. So over the course of about 6 or 9 months, we kept having conversations, us that ran the company, the family, the board, and said, long term, I don't think office is the right play. Besides, we've got a 600,000 square foot portfolio. We're not pushing anybody around in office anyway. Long term, I don't think that's the right move for this company. That's when, flex was becoming even more of a thing. So I said, hey, I started this here. I'll love to acquire it, peel it off, and go run it myself. And it was an easy conversation. It was an easy transaction. They were really generous and great to me and helped me. And that was 2021.
And since then, you've been going through management agreements. You've opened a few more locations, and so what is it with management agreements? Why do you continue to do that? Are you considering leases or management agreements? Yeah, I guess let's start with that. Why are you continuing with management agreements?
It's what I know. I was connected to office real estate for 19 years. So I think I understand from the owner standpoint. I certainly understand the vocabulary. I certainly understand their pain points, what they look for, things they would never accept. And there's room for management agreements. So why would I change and be like everybody else? It's a longer trod to get to the finish line for sure. But when we started, we touted ourselves as partners to owners. And when I sit here today, I don't know that there's a better relationship to have if you're truly trying to build value for an owner and be a partner. Management agreement's the way to go, because you have to be aligned with the goals of the owner and the folks in the building, the leasing team, the property management team, and add value to the building. Versus if I signed leases, and rightfully so, if I leased the fourth floor in a 20-story building, I would only be concerned, well, number one, I got to pay my lease, and then I want to try to make a profit. I would be much less concerned, if at all, on what's going on with the building or elsewhere in the building. How do I add value? I might end up competing with an owner for someone that's looking for a small space. So say someone needed 2,000 square feet. I've got either I can fit everybody in one spot or have a couple of offices. We end up maybe chasing the same tenants. And that's, at some point that doesn't make sense for the building owner. So management agreements, I have a better relationship with ownership, property management, asset managers, more in the know on how we can help throughout the entire building. And I'm not saying I would never do a lease. It'd have to be a pretty incredible deal, or a rev share, or people have all these different names for agreements these days. But I never go into a deal saying if it's not a management agreement, I won't do it. I start with a management agreement and say, all right, convince me that this is better for both of us in any other agreement.
That's really interesting. From like an alignment of interest perspective, I'm always thinking about that, in my work as well as a consultant, as opposed to say an agency owner. Alignment is really important in terms of how am I paid and what are the incentives and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to hear you saying that a management agreement is not just the least risky thing for you as the operator, and therefore what you're offering and what you're willing to take, but you've kind of been able to see that it can be the most advantageous for both parties. And I guess, are there other ways, I think you mentioned before, maybe not so much now, but, about building engagement as opposed to just competition, but creating this, this amenity that the rest of the building can get access to. Like, what are the other ways that it's more aligned for the owner and you than a traditional lease? And how have you been able to maybe help do that?
Well, I guess maybe let me know if I don't answer the question the right way, but we're now being asked by owners to be more involved in property management, activation and use of amenity space, recognition of amenity space in the building. So I'd say we're a ticketing system short of getting into like property management, like the hospitality part of property management, I think is a natural fit now for what we do and what we're asked to do. So that having someone keeping an eye on everything in the building that should produce revenue on a flexible basis is helpful to an owner. And some, there's some self-performing owners that do it well. There's some property management teams that do it really well. It's just, it's not everywhere, but it's not like it doesn't exist.
So your goal is to have co-working not just, fill some revenue on a specific area of the building, but to contribute as an amenity and to be maybe something that feeds into the larger units or feeds down for the leads that maybe aren't greatly qualified, but it's really just an add-on and a value add for the entire building outside of just the pure revenue perspective.
Yeah, it's funny. The revenues are important, but I don't know, like they're not 10 times more important than everything else we do in the building. Like we asked, obviously to meet the leasing team, property management team, we ask that the leasing team make us part of their tour for a prime tenant that's coming in. We think that adds value to, just like having a great conference space or a really beautiful fitted gym or a wonderful cafe. Savvy tenants are looking for a one-stop shop. Like, does this building offer me, okay, yeah, the 10th floor is beautiful and I can see all of DC. What else am I getting? Especially now when there's an abundance of space available. Buildings look very similar. They could be next door to each other on the same street, but one has a rooftop deck, a really beautiful conference center, coffee shop, and a good flexible operator. I think all other things being equal, if the rate's similar, you have a little bit more compelling story than your neighbor who either has that stuff and it's not activated or doesn't have that stuff at all. And someone in there trying to make sure it's all kind of interconnected somehow.
So
are you noticing that people, sorry, Taylor, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I was gonna say in your last Flex and 5, you were talking about things you look for in buildings, and obviously amenities are one thing. And as a operator in the building, you're looking to activate the building. So when you're coming in, are you also looking at those amenities? Like you talked about having amenities versus having activated amenities and the value that brings. So when you're coming in, looking beyond the walls of the space that you're going to take over, are you also looking and making recommendations in terms of how to activate the other spaces in the buildings? Like you said, if you have a gym, it's great. But if you have a gym where there's like, sunrise yoga and weekly things that people look forward to. So are you coming in and actually looking at those elements too and figuring out like, hey, how can we expand the activity in the building beyond just what we're putting in and it would launch?
Yeah, exactly. I toured a building a couple weeks ago, and they had spent like 2 or 3 million on a conference center on ground level. And when we walked in, it was dark and locked. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, that's just when it's needed." I'm like, "Well, how many people come in this elevator bank every morning? Like, is it marketed on any of the third-party aggregators? Like, this should be lit up. There should be, maybe the smell of coffee, maybe someone standing around every now and again saying, like, you can't just leave it dark." Like, to me, it's bad for the owner, but when I tour a building and I see that, I'm like, all right, there's upside, right? Because that thing's literally sitting closed and locked. The lights aren't even on. We can help there.
And are you finding that people in the building are using any of the launch amenities? Like, I know it's good in theory, but is in practice, are people coming down and using conference rooms or your
Yeah,
rooftop terraces?
not
or
only
various
is
other
it
things?
a amenity to the folks in the building, right? We can also market and sell that amenity outside the building and manage that. We took over a space earlier in the year. It's phenomenal. Full floor conferencing, broken into all sorts of sizes and lounge and catering, and wasn't used very much at all. We did some marketing, and we've got some, kind of regular folks using it, and now more and more use coming in. It's magnificent.
So are you seeing the management? So management agreements have become, I've heard them be popular, especially in the last couple of years. And then there's some critiques, like, for example, maybe a big operator who's not independent like you may come in, sign a deal with the landlord, and then just basically walk away because they're getting paid sort of regardless of occupancy. How do you position maybe what your value prop is? So which sounds like you're creating that alignment, but how does launch position, why should people choose, what are you telling landlords that they should choose you versus another, say, non-independent, like a large, multinational operator? Like, how are you positioning and winning these deals, what basis?
It's happening organically. It's a really good question. In the last 6 months, I don't have any outbound sales for new locations for launch. We rely on word of mouth, our brand, our landlord website, and our ebook to generate enough knowledge where, there's a lot of owners, probably every owner is thinking about flex, but when someone contacts me, they've done a little bit of work. So I always say, first of all, I'm not trying to push what I do and the way we do it down anybody's throat. That's not the relationship I want. So in the last 6 months, we've had more inbound leads than ever. And it's usually referrals of folks, building owners or folks we know in the real estate world for 20 years in DC. And I'm trying to think, it might be 100% of them have said the same thing. Either, hey, I got this random email or random phone call or random pro forma in the mail, and I don't want a national brand. I want a regional brand. I want a local brand. I'm not a national player, or, I'm not going to do a deal with Tishman and Hines and giant institutional companies, even if, they've got their own things in-house. But I think the building owners have learned quite a bit since COVID, when there were some really, the largest operator was canvassing every single building that had vacant space and would send a 1-page pro forma, and it did exceptionally well getting deals done. I don't know the details of what the deals were, but a lot of those deals aren't working out the way they were promised on these pro formas. So building owners don't trust that anymore. And I just was on a tour in Arlington, And the second question they asked me is, where do you live? And I said, well, near here. And they said, that's important to us because if we call you, and I said, yeah, just give me a little bit of notice. I could be here most likely overnight, if not the same day. And that's really resonating. And that's coming from the owners. That's not me saying, oh, ABC is a national brand. You're never going to get a hold of the person you think rent. I don't do any of that. But owners are doing enough homework to say, okay, I've already got a short list, 2 or 3 operators around DC that I like. And they're mostly, local regional brands, same size as us.
So this is this is interesting because the critique I've heard, and then I'm going to let Taylor take over your interrogation here. The critique I've heard of traditional operators is that the large nationals is that it is a just top line numbers game, get the contract, move on, and then if you need something, maybe they're accessible, maybe they're not, and that's been the fear. And you're seeing that landlords maybe have heard about that from a few other people who have done management agreement options, and that creates a whole plethora of things you have to counter when you're explaining the launch way of doing things. But one thing that I'm picking up on that that I noticed that you said was, they're looking to you as an individual. They're looking for Mike because he lives in DC that I can contact. The buck stops with you. You're not going to disappear. And maybe this is a good segue into the next section, which is how you're reaching landlords and how you're marketing to them and how you're educating the industry. Because it seems like you've really leaned into, and Taylor and I have been helping you with this a little bit, but leaning into being more of an educator, helping landlords go flexible. You've started Flex in 5. You've got a YouTube channel, a LinkedIn presence. You've started putting out some videos and you have a whole ebook with dozens of articles that you and Taylor have written. And so like what you've done is you said, not only are we not just going to rely on our brand to sell, we're also then going to put myself, Mike, and my thinking and my opinions and my hot takes and teach you as much as I can about what to think about, how to consider partnerships, all the questions you might have about it. And I feel like it's doubling down on this factor of human behind the brand, human behind the partnership. And I don't know, it may be too early to tell, although you're talking about lead flow and you've had people downloading your guides and reading your articles. But how important is it for you to build relationships based on human to human with these operators versus kind of relying on the reputation and presence of launch workplaces as a brand?
It's personal preference, first of all. And I think it's you're relatively complimentary to me. And just for the record, I pay both of you guys to help me do stuff, so I get where some of that comes from.
You paid to be on this podcast too.
But,
it's embarrassing.
Yeah, can't wait to see this invoice.
This podcast sponsored by Launch Workplaces.
Yeah, exactly. You replace my name with human, and that seems more important now to owners in the size that we like. I said, institutional. There's no institutional people calling me, but I don't swim in that end of the pool, so I'm okay with that. But it seems and it's like, who can solve the problem? Who's accountable? Who can I literally call on his cell phone at 8:00 on Thursday and say, hey, want to talk to you tomorrow? And again, that's anybody. But people, I think, don't realize, or maybe they do, the building owners are a pretty cohesive group. They talk to each other a lot. They see each other a fair amount. So if you burn 1 or 2 or 3, word gets out. Your deal structure, your availability, your general attitude. And I think, to be in my backyard, to be available to whoever wants to talk to me. I meet with anyone who wants to meet with me. I'm probably, I've been told I've been honest to a fault, but I try to be realistic. And I tell every owner, I just had a tour on Friday, I might not be the right fit for the space, but I can introduce you to people that do it different than I do, that might be better or more interested in what you have there. And the goal for me is like, just do a good job for the industry, do a good job for the owner, and that helps all of us. So, I don't know. I get, I'm not going to be a billionaire with a yacht someday. It's not a location grab. It's not the bullshit pro forma. Get as many as I can, as fast as I can, last as long as I can. I mean, there's operators that, worked like that for, especially coming out of COVID. Just when we talked about the 12 points of evaluating a building, one piece I didn't give on the owner side, I tell every owner, if you get a random one-sheeter or introductory letter in the email or, whatever, just ask the operator, I want to see your due diligence. I want to see all of it. I want to see every tab in the workbook. I don't want a one-sheet PDF file that I can't thumb through or you can't explain to me and I can ask questions of. Nobody's doing those deals anymore. So just like we should be vetting the buildings we're looking at to make sure, okay, they've got a reasonable chance of success. The owners are definitely now vetting more. Who am I letting come in here? Especially under a management agreement, right? I don't have a ton of skin in the game on a management agreement. So there's a lot of due diligence with how we do what we do and what information did we build all these pro forma and models on. And I'm happy to share it. So I think that's just respect of the relationship. And it's a good start, right? We're completely transparent from the beginning, kind of eyes wide open. And if we do our job well enough where we underwrite it and hey, you know what, this looks pretty promising. It's got a good score on our 12-point measuring system. There's other locations that are doing pretty well in the neighborhood. There's more room in this part of town to handle more co-working, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then just give it a shot. So
I was curious on that too, because I think there's a couple of points here. One of them being, people are doing business with you, like they know they can pick up the phone and call Mike, and there's something for that. And obviously, what you're doing by putting yourself out there is giving you a little bit more accessibility, maybe to people. Like it's really just people feel like they know you a little more. That builds kind of the human element of it, for better or for worse, I guess. But
yeah, careful what you wish for.
And so another thing I was thinking, because as you were talking, you said you've got your evaluation system, and you were just talking about maybe some other operators who were just going out there and blindly sending pro formas to every building in the area. So I guess from a positioning perspective too, what you're doing is instead of trying to be for everybody, you're very clear on who you're for, but also who you're not for. And so I was curious, are you seeing, and maybe it's harder to quantify than to qualify, but are you seeing that positioning in terms of being not for everybody and being just for who you're for, does that help in terms of the leads that come in and also the relationships and the agreements that you make based on those parameters?
Yeah, I wish I had a real scientific answer. It seems the people you do deals with, you seem to get more deals with people that are similar. So I don't know if that's manifestation or whatever, but that once you kind of get your niche, it seems to be the inbound traffic seems to be mostly from that group of owners, and I can't explain it. They can't all know each other, but I don't get. Well, I am getting more smaller stuff than I've ever seen. That doesn't fit launch per se. So we've created another brand for another day to try to help smaller spaces on a smaller scale, less intensive capital, all that stuff. But the folks that have contacted us in the last 6 months, kind of probably 80% of them fit in kind of the stuff we look for. So I don't know how it works, but it works.
Magic.
The magic.
It's the magic. Definitely.
It's the magic. And this is just an aside, but we're 36 minutes into this, and aside from the first 5 minutes of banter, I think this might be the most focused conversation that the three of us have ever possibly had. The wheels have stayed on. We stayed on track. It's focused.
Love how you took a detour to say that too. That's great.
I have a pair of pliers. I have a pair of pliers pinching my quad, and I'm not going to stop until we're done. Sometimes I'm serious. Sometimes I'm real.
Anytime you feel the compulsion, you just give the thigh a little twitch.
A little tighter squeeze. I'm surprised I haven't seen the bead of sweat run down my head from the pain.
We need to get Taylor a set of those, and myself, to be honest with you.
Nah,
I seriously mean, what good night's sleep and exercise, and I was prepared. I mean, this is as good as I get.
This is peak Mike, Big Mike.
Yeah, it's all down. I hope I don't have any meetings after this. It's all downhill.
Maybe we should all just start a business with trigger words like a dog shock collar, and then you can just wear that. And anytime you start to just like say the thing you're not supposed to say, it just gives you a little jolt and brings you back.
Yeah. Well, I've got my guard dog is laying literally next to me, snoring. Probably can hear it on the microphone. That's how excited my dog is to hear me talk.
He loves it. Sorry. Anyway, I felt like this was too structured and I needed to derail things a little bit, but I'm sure Kev actually has some more intelligent questions to put to you. So,
well, I gave you the alley-oop if you want to take it home, Taylor, or I can keep rubbing Mike with questions here. The fear that just rolled over Taylor. This is why you got to watch.
What'd you say?
Do you say probing or rubbing Mike with questions? I said
probing.
Probing.
Yeah. I didn't say caressing or
either of those.
You've been probing Mike pretty good for this episode, so
let's keep it on topic, yeah. And I'll keep.
Yeah, I'll let you run with this. I'm here for mostly comedic relief.
Well, we can slow down on the probing.
The occasional.
Okay. I'll go easy.
Give me Give me a softball.
So why are you so great? No, okay. So better question.
How much time do you have? Really?
What makes you excellent?
Bring in a co-star. Can we bring in a...
Yeah.
Let's get
so Mike, you've been doing a bit. So through this education work, you started Flexify. Tell us, how are you reaching landlords? I know it can be a lot of magic. Like sometimes you're publishing content, you've got a book, it ranks in Google, you got articles, you're now doing video, and then something like magic happens, and then next thing you know, people are reaching out to you. But tell me a little bit more about what's your mindset? What are you trying to do? Is educating landlords a practical way to build relationships? Are you doing other things that meaningfully move the needle, or is it just, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm trying to be helpful, and then landlords crop up and have conversations? But tell us what your mindset and kind of general approach is.
There's a lot of, you guys know me, there's a lot of, I don't know what I'm doing, so we might as well do something, which I don't, I'm not, the Flex in 5, your guys' idea, for the record, not my comfort zone, but I get it.
Joint effort.
Yeah. And I've enjoyed it so far. So thank you. But, so what do I try to do? I'm not a pushy salesperson. I'm not a cold caller. I'm not a big promiser. So to me, my best approach is just put out content that educates people. And if they choose someone else, I don't care. At least they're educated a little bit. So maybe it's a completely wrong approach, but I'm comfortable with that. So we've been working on the ebook for years, and it's just article after article that might be useful to a building owner or landlord or asset manager to say, hey, how do I pick an operator? Like, I don't even know where to start.
Do you ever use it in sales conversations, Mike? Like point to an article and say, hey, just following up, you asked about this question. It just so happens I wrote an article 6 years ago on this. Like, has that ever come up or not really?
I've referenced the book and I've sent links to it to people. I don't think I've gone to, hey, you should check out the article on page 38. It's going to really help you sleep better tonight. But good tip.
Helps me sleep better at night.
I've never made it past page 6, honestly.
I know
how it ends. I know how it ends.
I read it before bed.
I saw the movie.
Soothes me.
Puts you right to sleep.
Some people count sheep. I just get lulled by Mike's insights.
Yeah, I should. I could put it on Audible and what's it? That 44 megahertz noise and just poof.
You could go one step further and put it on the Calm app.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The yoga app
bore
too,
you to
right? Like
complete the
I
best
wouldn't say
sleep of your
bore.
life.
I'd say soothe. I'd say
Oh,
soothe.
you guys, so sweet.
I'm curious
Soothe.
too with the content stuff, because obviously you said that doing the video is not your comfort zone, even though you're really good at it. Like that's not even just to toot your horn, but you have like a natural ability to speak and stuff like that. But like, what was the mindset shift for you where you decided, all right, I'll just do this. Like, I'll just give in, go for it and see what happens. 'Cause I know a lot of people with that. Kevin and I were talking about this on our last video episode the other week, where like the biggest thing that gets in people's way is just feeling insecure or feeling nervous about doing it. So what shifted for you where you're like, you know what, let's just give this a shot and see what happens?
You guys are just annoying.
Yeah. You know, we do it.
It's been a year. You should never stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, it looks pretty cool.
I don't love the video and the camera and that kind of stuff. But on the other side, you both know me a long time. I could care less about failure. I have the dumbest ideas in a room every day. It's fine. So that stuff doesn't bother me, because generally what happens, I'll have 2, 3, 6, 7 really stupid ideas, but Kevin will say, hey, well, you know what? If we modified that one, it's not as bad as you think it is. Or so that stuff doesn't bother me. I fail all the time, or I have bad ideas one after another. But every now and again, right, I get a good one. And when I used to work with this guy, Pete, I used to say that activity creates opportunity. And it does. So keep doing stuff, keep getting in front of people, keep trying to help people, keep making yourself available to owners and operators to try to help people, try to make them better, try to not make mistakes. So this just seems like another avenue to try to, get in front of people, or let them listen to it for a little while they're driving somewhere. Maybe they suddenly think of some questions, and they're a little bit better than they were in this regard, than if they didn't listen to it.
Yeah, I think I stole this from you. I think you might have said it at some point, but like a lot of the stuff that you're doing is like you're building you're helping create a bigger pie, so that, maybe other people get a slice of that pie, but you also get a bigger slice. But there's a benefit to just you being out there and helping to grow the pie, the proverbial industry pie. You say that?
Well, yeah, the rising tide, of course, is a huge, I hope so. But, I'm not doing this and then not doing my day job, right? So this helps co-working, flex. It helps me. People seem to want to resonate with, as we said earlier, like there's a person behind this company that ultimately it rolls up to, and I have access to. So, that's who I want to do a deal with. On my side as well. Is there an owner that is so insulated I could never get through and talk about anything? That's not the kind of relationship I'm looking for. So I guess I'm trying to put out to the universe what I want to get back. Is an easy way to say it. So I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable this part of it, but it's just part of it. Just do it.
Well,
you
got the right mindset too. If you're focused on being useful, then good things happen, and being helpful to that kind of person. And I think you're looking for a landlord who's curious enough to consume some of your content and actually learn about the value prop of Flex, as opposed to some maybe mid-level asset manager who's interviewing you as though you're kind of a commodity and doesn't really care what you're doing. So I think it naturally makes sense that if you're going to be doing education as marketing and putting yourself out there and just try to be helpful to those that are interested, you're naturally going to attract someone who's willing to absorb some of that and really be thoughtful about choosing a partner. And if they've met you some other way, to be able to be like, also, I've written literally the book on flexible, management of flexible office space for how to get into it if you're a traditional landlord. And so it kind of just builds a lot of useful background and credibility, which is, has to be helpful.
I can't. The coworking is still pretty young. I mean, I guess we're a pretty big industry now, but it's still young enough. So I can't have massive failures. That doesn't help me. Meaning, like the WeWork, their bankruptcy. That didn't. I'm not cheering for that, but that doesn't help any of us. So to have them, to have someone, come in and run it like a real company who understands real estate, it's great, right? I think if WeWork had gone under and literally shut the doors, we'd be having a different conversation today. So I don't root for anyone to annihilate the industry. So how can I help people? It's that simple.
I love it. I think if you keep following that, good things will happen. This is just like looking out for the landlord, the entire building valuation. How do you be helpful, not just for that slice of the building, but for their building overall, for their business overall, I think. And then being generous and being like, as long as I can be helpful with my content, that's going to generate positive for everybody and probably help your thinking as well. And so I think you're on the right track. And hopefully
I'm waiting for the deal.
Good.
Waiting for someone to call and say, we've got this podcast in mind. Be a great host. Just waiting.
We may need a third. I'm thinking about dropping
how
Taylor,
many episodes have we put out? 2?
Oh, for the Flex and 5?
Yeah, how many Flex and 5s?
We're 2 out, plus an intro, plus we have 3 more. And
I'm surprised I haven't gotten a call yet. You guys got to work on that.
Just wait till I put out the blooper reel. I think that's going to be the one that really runs it home for you.
Boy. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you could make that anytime that we're on the phone together. So if you run dry on that, let me know.
If you don't think that I'm taking notes and parceling out pieces here and there every call, you're wrong. I am.
Wonderful.
It's almost a hobby of mine at this point. I like to do it.
Well, it'll keep you busy.
Well, Mike, where can, I guess you won't know, Taylor, where can people go find Mike's landlord resources and guides and learn more about what Mike and Launch Workplaces and are doing?
You can find Launch Workplaces at launchworkplaces.com. If you want to dive more into Mike's insights for landlords about the flex industry, head to launchworkplaces.com/landlords. You can download the 50 plus, I think, page ebook at this point that's being updated quite often as we get new insights. You can also find Mike on LinkedIn. You can find Flex in 5 on LinkedIn, and you can find Mike on YouTube at youtube.com/@flexin5. Did I nail that one for the first time ever?
You did. That's never happened.
Tell you what, I didn't even know some of that. That was pretty good.
I was so due for
There's
one.
There's an awful lot of me out there. It sounds like that. My heart rate went up about 10 beats a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can listen to Mike too if you're tired of watching him. So you can actually go to any of your favorite podcast players, look up Flex in 5, and you can listen to him on your commute to your office or otherwise.
While you're running. You've run out of options if that's your choice in your car. Yeah. So good for you.
Or while you're running 6.5 minutes.
Better.
You can listen to him while you're running 6.5 minute miles on the treadmill. It's about the
I'm telling you, you want to make an impression. Join the YMCA on a snowy Saturday and hump out a 6-minute mile to start. I mean, I'm 245 pounds working that treadmill. I shut that thing down. It was smoking.
Looks cool though.
I gotta be honest with you. I bet it didn't look that cool.
As long as it felt cool.
Yeah. I mean, one guy was eyeballing the defibrillator. It was like, why is everyone looking at me?
So keep an eye on this guy.
Yeah. The guy behind me got off the treadmill in case I wiped out and shot backwards. Would have killed him. I require a wide berth at the gym.
A spotter. Yeah.
Short say wide load like a truck.
Exactly. I make wide right turns.
No, we're so back. This is how I wanted to end it.
I know. Well, Mike, you're a gem. Thank you for staying focused most of the time and minimally swearing, and that was good. Yeah, we really appreciate your time.
Did you see old school Will Ferrell in the debate scene? That was just I just experienced that.
Yeah,
he locked in. And then he blacked out afterwards, so I'm probably going to need about an hour nap now.
I've seen that movie about 10 or 15 times. So
take your time to recover. You've earned it.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for giving me a little time off.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Thanks for paying to be here.
Yeah.
This episode was sponsored by Launch Workplaces.
Yeah. Send the bill.